Hey guys, this is Azra here, bringing you some coverage of the Netrunner Regionals from May 2016 held in Bangor, Northern Ireland. And the legal data pack up to this point was Salset Island, and we had 26 players turn up in the day to compete. It was a very fantastic field actually, with players coming across from Scotland, England, and both the north and south of Ireland. So a really good turnout. Now over the course of these videos on YouTube, we're going to have coverage from all of the Swiss rounds, of which there were 4, plus all the top table matches in the double elimination as well. Now overall the event went very smoothly, and I have to give a big shout out to our local game store, Replay Games, which is also in Bangor. They were great at getting the venue for us and overall getting the event all up and running and advertised well. And I'm just popping up some pictures of the great store here. They do have a play area out the back as well, but we decided to go with an external venue just in the off chance that we hit a good number of players, and we did, I'm very glad to say. As we jump into the footage here, I also want to give a quick shout out to James Stevenson, who actually provided all the coverage with photographs and a range of videography for the event as well. So it was really good to have that. You can see links to Replay's website and James Stevenson's Facebook page down below if you want to check those out. So thanks so much guys for starting to watch, and we're going to jump into our first game here. And on the left we have Mark Mottram even, playing Leela Patel on the left hand side. Not to be intimidated, he came over from England, brought along his Cerberus, Dave Harlan signed Leela, and Netrunners.co.uk playmat, which is really awesome to see. On the right we have Belfast local Neil Butler. He's part of our Belfast meta, plays now and again, and does like to turn up to events, and actually he makes a pretty good showing actually, and he is running Engineering the Future. So the decks aren't anything too strange or startling. Mark's Leela deck is very much a count siphon, 3 R&D interfaces, Desperados, Film Critic, and actually a Gordian Blade, which I actually really like to see as a constant code gate breaker. On Neil's side, again, nothing too fancy out of ETF actually. Ash, Caprice, Adonises. It does run restructures for a bit of burst economy, but nothing that you wouldn't expect. Is running 2 Architect actually, and also it looks like he's dropped the Eli. No, he's also got 3 Eli as well. So yeah, a pretty standard Fruit Coops deck, and we're underway. Let's see what we see. I do apologise for the shaking camera. It does come and go a little bit. I know in later matches it's not so much of an issue as we kind of got everything a bit more stable, but bear with me, I'll kind of keep the camera as stable, the footage as stable as possible. So on Neil's side of the table, the early Jackson's pretty nice. I'd expect him to pop a bit of ice over this if he can. It looks like he's actually just drawn up. Maybe he actually got rid of a bad hand there, actually missed what his starting hand was, but it looks like he's tidying it up nicely. So we could probably expect to see that Jackson get binned almost instantly. So Neil passes back. So Sure Gamble saw security testing in hand as well, which is nice. Really like these counters from Mark. Are we going to see an agenda off the top? No. There wasn't actually anything to bounce there, but the early Leela running, especially when you're running 3 R&D interfaces, and seeing a quick access in R&D can often make a Leela game spiral. That being said, Neil did play a little bit riskily there, leaving his HQ completely open. I'm not sure if he had no ice whatsoever, but had Mark had an account siphon there, the game could have gone pretty south for Neil pretty fast. So hostage security testing, special order, and I think a breaker in hand for Mark. He's going to get R&D shuffle, check another look, and see a wall of static, which I'm sure Neil will probably be ecstatic to see. So in Neil's hand, we've got the wall of static now, and Adonis. Can't see much more at the moment. Looks like a launch campaign and a biotic labour. Okay, so probably quite aggressive economy here with launch campaigns and restructures, actually. A little bit more bursty. Don't think he's actually running any Eve campaigns, so probably going for a little bit of a quicker game than maybe the old school Food Coops. So pretty sure Mark's going to know that's the wall of static. There is a second piece of ice about to go down though. Oh, maybe not. Doesn't have any agendas in hand, but does have to be wary of the account siphon. Possibly putting down the Adonis here. Wouldn't be too bad to give you some account siphon protection, but instead decides to triple ice. So I think that was wall of static and Ichi, and I didn't catch the third piece. Is a political operative from Mark. The Sneak Door Beta in hand as well is quite nice here. How early he's going to play that? Oh, he's going to play it right now. Now this is interesting because, Neil did just clean his hand up with Jackson, but he does only have 3 cards in hand. So how likely is it that he's going to have something? Mark sees the launch campaign 2 to trash. It's not a bad trash, I wouldn't imagine. Yeah, technically you're also preventing HP getting a credit for installing it when it was almost certainly going to go into that remote next turn, so I don't mind that trash from Mark at all, actually. He does sneak door back in. We got the Adonis. And security testing, okay. So I'm not sure how much I like that sneak door play there, investing 4 credits into seeing the hand when we kind of knew the hand had been tidied up, but the launch campaign hit I think was actually pretty sweet. So we get an install, more than likely the Adonis. Or at least, we like to think that Neil's poker facing it as an Adonis. So we're taking his time. At this point, I don't see any downside in crediting, unless you've got a hedge fund, and then that's absolutely fine as well. So yeah, I think getting some money here, he's now going to probably be able to afford to res all of his ice and protect this if it is the Adonis. It's funny, when you watch players, and I know when I play my own games as well, sometimes you feel really bad about just clicking for a credit, but in a time like that, I think it's the right move, especially when your HQ is open to security testing. To sneak door beta and archive security testing. It's not a good draw for Mark. That Plascrete's probably not very useful. Fairy, though, on the other hand, is probably going to do some work for him. Now, Mark's definitely not had the best opening couple of draws here for Leela. Would have liked to see the count siphon, ways to apply a bit more pressure. An RNDI would obviously be great. But at least he's going to get a couple of credits off archives here. Now, I'm not sure what Mark's actually using as his draw in this. I'm going to have a quick look at his list just to have a look. So he's running one draw, yeah, one John Masanori. And I think that's really all the kind of draw he's running. So he's going to be doing a lot of clicking to draw. So I think at the moment he's just getting a little bit unlucky. He needs to get a bit more momentum going here as the sex bots come online. So, ironically, Neil probably wants to be going quite quickly here, but he's got the economic lead. He needs to shore up his archives to stop that security test and sneak door beta. But if he starts overdrawing, he's going to kind of put himself in a tricky spot. So he does create a new remote. Oh. And... oh, looks like he's got Biotic Labour, which means this is probably a 3 for 2, and getting that out of his hand, if it is an absolutely fantastic way of keeping himself safe. And yes, it is all fantastic. So having the Biotic Labour there basically saved him from having his hand probably pillaged by sneak doors next turn. So that's a pretty fantastic turn of events for Neil, and that's exactly what I think he needed to do there, was to get his economy going. Now, again, slightly risky doing it against Leela whenever you only one ice deep on each server, but Mark hasn't seen any of his pieces. He hasn't seen his RDI. He hasn't seen his account siphon yet in terms of early pressure. So Neil might get away with it again. And I think we're going to probably see security testing and R&D both run here. Okay, so R&D gets run and nothing seen. Oh, now there's exactly why you draw first. So you just drew the R&D interface, which would have been very nice to have down before you made that initial run. Draw first click. If you're going to draw on your turn, draw first click. Easy. Oh, it looks like the sex bots were trying to shortchange Neil. He just realised he'd only put 8 credits on instead of 9 after removing the first 3, so he just topped that up. And another draw from Mark, and it's another special order, which is just not what I think he wants to be seeing at all. So we've got mandatory draw, and we got credits off Adonis. And re-icing back up. So I think it was an ice on top of R&D that Mark saw, so I think starting to get 2 layers of ice now is probably going to be a priority for Neil. and starting to think about what is going to be going into this remote once it clears up for him and he gets some space. I think Neil's doing a pretty good job here of not overdrawing and just kind of pacing his draws and keeping them under control, which I think is good. If he was to overdraw here, or if he was not to re-ice R&D, he could all of a sudden start having the game spiral out of control. Because if Leela does get 1 or 2 agendas back to back, she can just put on so much pressure. Security testing getting moved? Oh no, he just grabbed security testing. And we're going to sneak door. He doesn't need to roll dice because it's a hedge fund. 1 in hand. Corroder goes down. So both a good sentry and barrier breaker now online. Neil's, has he forgotten to take his Adonis credits? Yep, nope, there we go. It's almost like he heard me in the past. So this is where I think I'm quite an inexperienced Leela player, and I'm kind of watching Mark here, and I think it's almost like he's waiting for his opportunity to strike, and that might mean letting Neil score another agenda. And if Neil scores 1 out, and Mark's able to bounce either HQ or R&D ice, and then apply some account siphon or R&D interface pressure, that's when Leela can really kick back in. She's never ever out of the game. That being said though, HB can score out, especially when running global food, quite easily with 3 agendas, which doesn't really give her a lot of triggers. Okay, so security testing first click. Sneak door better for the second. So again, I think this is really good. You know, Neil's drawn a few cards over the past turn or 2. He sees the hedge fund, okay. It looks like, yeah, last turn Neil sort of drew quite a few cards, preparing for this Adonis to go and start to chuck something into the remote, and Mark's just being unlucky, not seeing anything at all there. I don't know if anything's in Neil's hand. I wonder if we'll get to see how we look here. Nope. Very close to his chest. Having a quick look at political operatives, which can be a pain if you forget about it. And yeah, look what a full Adonis does for HB economy. Absolutely awesome. And that's after spending 7 credits to biotic out the accelerated beta test. So if I was Neil here, I mean, seeing that Mark's on a full rig here, because he's got 2 memory in the sneak door and then 1 in each of Corroder and Ferry, no Desperado as of yet. I would be very tempted to put that Ichi or something over Archives just to stop him getting in for free. Does it like he has another piece of ice in hand? And he's installed something in the remote here. He's definitely mulling over some ice, trying to work out where he wants to put it. Can't see if he has an agenda in hand right now, but would expect him to at this point. Oh, okay. So is that an agenda? He's going to be reasonably sure that Mark can't get in there. A Turing on that server would be pretty brutal, and Mark isn't currently sporting an inside job. And yeah, not seeing John Masanori, not seeing a Desperado or an account siphon, I think really has stalled out Leela's game a bit. And security testing for 2 credits though. Keeps her ticking over. I do like those little credits in Mark's actually. A little bit of glare off them, but that's cool. R&D interface is great. Are we going to see a run 3rd click on R&D? We are. Is it a barrier or a sentry? Yes, it's the wall static from earlier. I should have remembered that. Anyone watching keenly probably would have realised that. We're going to see 2 cards. Look like an Ash and then an Architect, so nothing. I think that's unlucky for Mark there. I think as many cards as Neil has now gone through, you would have expected to see an agenda. If not, there's one either in his hand or sitting in that remote. 3 cards in hand. I think Mark was just checking with Neil how many was left. I think Mark will be pretty happy, to be putting on this pressure, while Neil will be happy to have a rezzed ice over R&D, even if it is only 2 credits for Corroder to get through. And let's see if we're going to see any action on this remote. Neil's having a bit of a think. I do like whenever players put their hands down and just have a look at the board state. Sometimes you can get a little bit tunnel visioned on your hand and sit there shuffling your cards, wondering what to do. But sometimes it's good just to take in your board, take in your opponent's current setup. Oh, and it was indeed. So it looks like Neil was maybe just assessing what Leela might bounce here and what that could do to him. The HQ ice is going to get bounced. But really, Mark hasn't drawn into anything that's really going to be fantastic. No legwork, no HQ interface. I don't know if he runs HQ interface actually. No, he doesn't. Does run 2 legworks. No legworks, no account siphon seam. So continue to take security testing money. Let's spend the 2 straight away to go and have a look at R&D. Seems good. Oh, it actually does get rewarded this time. So an accelerated beta test, second card access, and we'll get another bounce to hand. Is it worth going to have another look for 1 fresh card? Yeah, I think Mark's definitely feeling the pressure here. And he draws last and it's the security testing. Wouldn't have made much difference to the rest of that turn, so that's alright. So Neil probably just has to take a rebuild turn, get archives, HQ covered back up again. He's seen a good bit of his economy. I think 2 hedge funds and Adonis gone by so far, and obviously the lunch campaign was trashed earlier. I think it's just come in the right order for him. What he really wants to see now is a global food. Having to score another 3 for 2 wouldn't be ideal, and it wouldn't be awful, of course, but if he could see a global food initiative now and put himself on one agenda towards the win, that would be fantastic. Meanwhile, the rig of Mark is looking slightly more impressive. The political operative is always interesting when you have to think about the likes of Ash and Caprice being used. Oh, actually a change of mind on the ice on archives, which Mark is fine with, which is cool. Obviously, regionals are a competitive event, and we want to keep things, pretty tight and don't be lax in the rules at all. And on the day, we did have to check a few things and make sure players were following them tightly. But generally at the table, there's a pretty good sportsmanlike behaviour from all the players. And I think just that little adjustment from Neil won't be an issue at all for Mark. And a third bit of ice. So archives, R&D, and HQ all iced up that turn. So Hostage finally getting played after being in there since the starting hand. What are we going for? Is it going to be a John? Katie? Oh, okay. So Katie or Caddy Jones, depending on what part of the world you're watching from. A little bit late here. I'm not sure if Mark could have potentially done that much earlier and been gaining 3 credits a click rather than using security testing. Overall, he may have sort of ended up gaining an extra sort of 4 or 5 clicks over the course of the game. 4 or 5 credits, sorry. But I think that was a pretty good play from him. He needs to gain his economy. That inside job is pretty awesome, actually, and that could be pretty critical card. I think they're just clarifying the use of dice here. See an install in the remote from Neil. And at this point it's tricky for the runner because this could be Caprice, it could be Ash, it could be an Adonis. Oh, okay. So now we know at least one of them's an upgrade. Oh wow, okay. So, oh my goodness, so it could be Ash Agenda, it could be Ash Caprice Agenda. It could be a complete farce, it could just be an Adonis with a couple of upgrades. So Neil on 13 credits. I believe Mark is just on 1. This would not be a bad time to push out. Gordian Blade comes up, but currently no memory to play it. And really it's only been 1 piece of ice res this game. Kitty gets 3 extra credits on. And then just click for 2. And these special orders that have been clogging up the hand are probably going to go in the way of the bin. Yep. So mandatory from Neil. Draws into a restructure, which like might be overkill here, but if those are ashes, or one of those cards and the remote server is an ash, a restructure here could really send them over the top. Wow. Are we going to see an advance? Ooh, we're going to see an advance. Okay. And wow, what a difficult position for Mark to be in here. So he's got 3 credits. He could take 6 off Katie. And then is he trying to find a good bounce here? So he could inside job into HQ or get inside job into R&D and try and find an agenda to bounce that advance card. Or he could just run at the remote and see what happens. This is a really tough situation. I feel like he's got to take the KD money. Whether he installs the Gordian or not is iffy, because Gordian to break through a Turing in the remote would be 3-4 credits. Plus the 4 to install is 8, and he's only going to have 9 available to him, so that's not ideal at all. He can't beat an Ash Trace. So he is going to first click take the money off Katie. I almost feel like the R&D check is the way to go here. Try and find the bounce. I don't think... Oh, it is! He's going to inside job R&D. Okay, this is big. He really, really needs to see an agenda off the top here. He's going to see 2 cards. Inside job is played, but Neil is going to res the Ichi, so it's going to force Mark to pay 2 credits to get through the wall of static. Top card is a blank. Second card is a blank. A bit of a sigh from Mark there. I think he realizes that that was a big, big turnaround point for him. 2 clicks left with, I believe, 8 credits? No, that can't be right. I think it was on 9, 2 for the inside job, 2 for the wall of static. So it leaves him on 5. So if one of those upgrades is an Ash, he just absolutely can do nothing about it. With Neil on 11 credits, he can't even really get him down enough to prevent him advancing either. Oh, wow. The Victor is going to do a brain damage and end the run here. That's absolutely brutal. Mark can't spare the click here. If he does click, he could click the end of the run, take the brain damage, and hope to hit what I believe is a 1 and 2 agenda, but I don't think Neil actually has anything in hand. Mark is potentially just thinking, can I get Neil to less than 3 credits? He's on 8 right now. Could I spend my last click running this remote and just stop Neil scoring this turn? There's the brain damage coming. Oh, passport goes. And then last click is going to be in the remote. What would be the worst thing here? Code gate, obviously. Neil's having a think. Maybe. Oh my word, and it is probably the worst ice that could have come up there. Turing's going to end the run. Turn's going to get passed back, and Neil, yeah, he's going to triple advance and score the Global Foot Initiative. So wow, very, very good game for the 2 guys there. It was a really nice one. Tough game for Mark, first game of the day. Well, look, thanks so much for watching, guys. Congratulations to Neil, and you can follow along the rest of the videos in the playlist below, and thanks so much for watching.